Hey everybody, welcome to day 50, where we are going to be talking about what to do if your book is suffering from sagging middle syndrome. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button below if you haven't already, and whatever it is you're drinking today, grab a cup, cozy up, and let's get to writing. Alright, so sagging middle syndrome is when your book has a great beginning, you've introduced the plot and it's going so well, and then it has an amazing ending and you know what the climax is going to look like, you know how it all wraps up, but that middle is just not living up to its potential, it's falling short. We're going to talk about what to do about that today. Now, this is actually a bit of a difficult topic to grasp because recognizing why the middle of the book is sagging is difficult, but it's also even more difficult to figure out how to fix it. So the main problem that I see that causes the middle of the book to sag is almost always the same. It's either that the plot is not being moved forward or the subplots have taken over. So if the main plot of the story is that we need to go find the sword of the magic slayer, and we take 3 chapters in the middle to talk about the main character's traumatic childhood, while that might be necessary information in our minds, something that we want our readers to pick up on, we had a 3-chapter gap where the main plot was not moving forward, and that causes a huge sag in the story. Or if our characters are on a spaceship and they are cruising through the stars off to fight some bugs in another galaxy, and we take 3 chapters in the middle to talk about how their technology was developed and how the war began. Of course, that is relevant information again, but it needs to be sprinkled in throughout the course of the plot always moving forward. We can't take 3 chapters in the middle to flash back and explain exposition because then the story isn't moving forward. This would also be if we need our characters to get from point A to point B and we take 3 chapters of travel to get them there, that's going to be a sagging middle. Or if this is a romance and we're rooting for the main characters to fall in love, and in the middle of the book the character goes on a 5-chapter ski trip with their friends without the main person that they're supposed to be falling in love with. I know that we can think to ourselves, oh, but it's such a great fun scene and it shows who the friends are and it shows their relationships with each other. It gives lots of details about the character's background. The problem is none of that matters if the plot is not moving forward, then the middle is sagging. And that one would actually be a super quick and easy fix because all we would have to do is bring that main love interest along on the ski trip and have them interacting with the main character in flirty, fun, romantic interactions. But if the main plot of that story is those characters falling in love and that is what your readers are looking forward to, we can't have those subplots taking over in the middle because then the main plot is not moving forward, and that is what the main cause of a saggy middle is. Well, if it all sounds so easy, then why did I say this was going to be such a difficult topic? Well, the answer is because almost nobody has their main plot figured out when they're writing their first draft, and I totally include myself in this because in every single book that I have ever written, I will get to the end and it's in editing, it's months into editing and staring at the page and being like, what is my main theme? That is actually when I get my main plot. It is way after the first draft is done. And I know that I'm not alone in this either. Neil Gaiman has a quote where he says, the process of doing your second draft is the process of making it look like you knew what you were doing all along. And I totally resonate with that because later during editing, I always find a much stronger plot line than the one I started with that ties everything in the book together. And then what I end up doing while I'm editing is I go back through and I rewrite every scene so that it's furthering that one main plot. And of course there's subplots going on behind the scenes and there's lots of character development and world building. There's everything else going on at the same time, but nothing matters as much as moving that plot forward. And I don't actually figure out what it is until much later in my process. Now, if we have that really clear plot line that goes all the way throughout the book and ties everything together in one story, in one driving force that keeps your reader flipping pages, then if there is still a sagging middle, it's pretty easy to overcome actually, because all you have to do is add things like obstacles. So that would be like a wall in their way that your character has to scale. But then what I really like to do is that as they try to overcome those obstacles, more pop up or it complicates everything. So in my first book, I have this whole scene where they are running through this city trying to get away from the monsters, and they escape the monsters just to end up somewhere even more dangerous out in the middle of this murderous body of water, which then they have to escape from that. So it just goes from bad to worse, and that is a really good way to keep moving your plot forward because they are always after that same goal. My main character is trying to find her missing memories all through book 1 while trying to figure out who this mystery person is who's showed up to help her, and also trying to do it all before these big bad monsters can catch up with her. So everything in that book is moving that one plot forward because everything she does is about trying trying to find those memories and trying to figure out what is going on. And it can be more than just physical or psychological obstacles as well. Complications are a really good way to keep that plot moving forward as your character is trying to reach their end goal. So they could find out halfway through that they are totally chasing the absolutely wrong suspects and they have to reevaluate who could have possibly committed the murder. Or this would be in the Hunger Games when Katniss sees Peeta basically working with the bad guys and she's like, oh my gosh, he's betrayed me, I can't trust him, I gotta stay away from all of them. Or a complication could be if your character learns some big piece of information about the world that completely changes the context in which they see everything. That would be a really cool complication as well. So adding obstacles and adding complications is great because they are related directly to the main plot line, and having that plot read from beginning to end as one solid story and not taking any unnecessary segues is what will keep your middle from sagging. So again, this isn't something that I want you to slave over getting perfect right now, because when you're doing the editing process after this book is finished, that might be when you find a much clearer plot and conflict for the whole book that relates to everything. That's how I do it. I end up rewriting the whole thing as soon as I find it, but my books are always infinitely better when I figure out what that much better plotline is after the whole thing is written. But ultimately what matters right now is the word count. So it's day 50, which means yesterday we should have been at a total of 31,673 words. I wrote 1,375 for a total of 32,247. So I am gonna go ahead and jump off and work on my word count. If you guys haven't hit that subscribe button below, go ahead and click it now, and I will see you tomorrow for day 51 of the 60-day novel writing challenge.